Voicings, 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 voicings. Hi. Wow. Another mystery, another mystery, another mystery. The mystery of voicings, 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 voicings. Yeah, I know. Sounds very strange. You're not sure what's going on. Voicings. Voicings. When I was a younger man, as Mr. Joel would say, when I wore a younger man's clothes, I used to play a lot, obviously. It's like discovering a new love. You're with her all the time. You want to see her. You want to just be with her forever, And so anywhere that there was a piano, because I didn't have one, and once I had access, I would sit for hours and hours and hours playing. And not just playing any particular song, just anything that popped into my head, At that time, I didn't realize that this was really a great thing. Somebody actually told me one day that, it sounds good, but we don't know what you're playing, and you need to play something that we know. And they did a number on me, and then I started to play things that people knew, and almost closed off that portal, so to speak, that feed that I was getting. Anyhow, so a gentleman by the name of Larry Woolery, he was a bass player, and the band that I was working with at the time, we had gone on a break, and of course I would just sit at the piano. That was before pre-synthesizer, and this is in Jamaica, so pre-synthesizer days, and I'd sit at the piano and play and just play to my heart's content. And he was there. He was a very avid supporter of mine. I don't know why, I'm this little kid, compared to this big man and the others who I was working with. And he said to me one day, "So tell me something, what's your favorite voicing?" And I looked at him and I said, huh? My what? And he said, "Yeah. You must have a favorite voicing. What is it?" And I chuckled and I said, "Okay. All right. I hear you. Cool." In retrospect, I think he knew that I had no idea what he was talking about, and I think that was his way of giving me a clue, because I used to basically just play straight. I didn't play those. I'd play minor sevenths and whatever, but those intricate voicings and implied harmonies, I wasn't there yet, because, as a kid, and I probably would have played one or two of them, but not consciously, not cognizant of what I was doing. And obviously it would be a hit and miss situation, because I really didn't know what voicings were. So, of course, me loving a challenge, I went, to the local music store and decided that, as usual, I was going to find me the perfect book And I always had a gift for that. You know, the perfect book always found me, especially when I went searching for it. And so I found a book called Voicings. I think it was Jazz Rock. Yes, that's the name of it. Jazz Rock Voicings for the keyboard player or pianist keyboard player. And it was by Dan Hurl. Dan Hurl. The name of the publishing company, I believe, was Lebanon Inc. INC. I'm not sure if they're still around. I don't know if they still exist, but I'm sure if you check your local music store, you know, or even check online, you should be able to find some good books on voicings. And I'm pretty sure that Dan Hurl's book might still be available, or maybe even videos. So, you know. And so it took me on a journey, and it was an eye-opening journey. And of course, it confirmed what I had heard other pianists do and didn't quite get the understanding until I read it. And of course, I was musically, literate. I could read music. And so I basically was able to put two and two together, and I got the full understanding as to what was going on. So what I was doing earlier is I was playing two categories basically. One is built on category A, the other is built on category B. All right, so I'm going to just digress quickly. In my previous video, one of them, I think probably a further look at Sir John Coltrane's Giant Steps. Yes. I would have briefly gone through basic triads and basic diatonic sevenths. So basic diatonic triads, I should say, and diatonic sevenths of the Ionian mode or major scale. I'm doing this voicings video, you know, under the premise that those of you who will be watching it already are familiar with your chords, you know, where to find, you know, most of your chords and your scales and so forth, okay? All right, so in the key of C major, we have C major triad, which is built on the first degree of the scale, the third degree of the scale, and the fifth degree of the scale. We know that already. Okay, there are four basic triads, and I'm going to name them. So the first one is C major triad. The next one is C minor triad, which means that the major third interval, C is 1, D is major second, perfect unison, perfect 1. Major second, major third becomes minor third when you lower it by a semitone, E becoming E flat. And then the tonic and the dominant, which is the perfect fifth, remains the same. So the only thing that is being changed is the major third to minor third. You should also be able to sing this, so you should know which note causes the change, causes the sound to change as well. So if I play here, I should know that the major third is and for it to go to minor third, I know that the third must be lowered, so I can use my voice to minor third, major third. Come on, boys, wake up. Major third, minor third, major third. Okay, so you have to know it like that, okay? All right, so major third, C major triad. Triad is a 3-note chord. C minor triad, okay? And if I said C major triad, yeah, you know what I mean. C minor triad, okay? If I said C major third, then of course that was an error. But you know what I mean by the major third interval for C major triad, or the chord of C. So that's C minor triad, and now I'm going to go to diminished triad. And the diminished is the fifth note being the perfect fifth that will be lowered one semitone to make it a diminished fifth interval, and the chord is C diminished. Okay? And then one more triad to go. From C major triad, we are going to enlarge or augment the fifth interval, the perfect fifth interval, for it to become the augmented fifth. And so there we go. That's your C augmented triad. Okay, so I'm going to go through all four again. C major triad, C minor triad, C diminished triad, and then from C major we're going to go straight to C augmented. Just the fifth note is going to be raised one semitone. Okay, and you should learn this and be able to play this in all inversions. So for example here, and you need to know which note makes the change, and from the major position, which is E and G, just simply raise the fifth, the perfect fifth G, to G sharp. And that's your augmented triad in first inversion, in the first inversion position. All right, in the second inversion, we have, and then you need to remember that it is the major third that becomes minor third, and the major third has now become a major 10th interval, okay? So now it's the minor 10th interval, but for convenience, we'll just refer to it as the third, okay? The third note, minor third note. But it's actually a 10th in relation to C down here, okay? And then diminished, you know that you simply lower the fifth, the perfect fifth, to G flat. Okay? And then from C major position, which is G, C, and E, we simply raise the fifth, the perfect fifth, G to G sharp. Okay? And that's it. All right. So that we dealt with the four basic triad chords, okay? So we're going to deal with the 5/7, okay? 5/7. First one, C major 7th, C dominant 7th, or simply C 7th, and that is lowering the 7th, major 7th interval to a minor 7th interval, but the chord is not a minor 7th chord. The chord is a dominant 7th chord, or simply a 7th chord, okay? And then C minor 7th, the minor third, is what makes it a minor 7th because of E, the major third, being lowered one semitone to E flat. So that's C minor 7th, and then C minor 7 flat 5, as is indicative that the fifth note is flattened, one semitone. C minor 7 flat 5 also has another name, that's C half diminished 7th. And then finally, your complete 7th, diminished 7th, and listen to the term diminished 7th. So the 7th note is diminished, okay? So that would be this. Therefore, in light of this, it would be C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat, not A, B double flat. However, A is the enharmonic of B double flat, the enharmonic of B double flat. And that simply means the term enharmonic of one note or the same note with two different letter names or two different spellings. I hope you can hear me in this. Yeah, so we have covered the 5/7 so far. There are two other 7s that they're usually not mentioned, even though they are used somewhat, sparingly, depending on, the type of music that is being played. You know, they may have somewhat of a dissonant sound to some, but they're used quite a lot, especially by modern composers and stuff like that, and even jazz players who want to be extremely adventurous. All right, so I'll introduce them to you, but I won't focus on them too much. Okay, so this one is C minor plus or added major seventh. Okay, so this is your C minor with the raised seventh as the classical school would refer to it as. This actually comes from your C harmonic minor scale, and there are other scales that you can derive this chord. Okay, but we're not going to explore that now. I'll do that in another video. And then you have C augmented major seventh. So that's your augmented, and this is the major seventh. Okay, good. So let's get back to our voicings and how the voicing principle works. There are two categories that Dan Hurl tells us about. Category A, which is built on the third interval of the key that you're in, any key that you're in, whatever the home key is, that temporary home key at present. And category B is the principle of the notes or the voicing being built on the seventh degree of the particular home key or the chord that you're playing. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate that. So we're in the key of C for this example. E is the third, and then we're going to play the other notes. Now, what they say is that we don't need to use the fifth note, which is the dominant, because the fifth note is dispensable. We don't need it. And the reason for that is when you play a single note, for example, like say C, you will hear that the dominant is sympathetically ringing. So even though we have not played this, you still end up hearing it, even though you're not physically playing it. This is referred to as the Overtone Series or the Harmonics Series, okay? That's a separate study which is beyond the scope of what I'm attempting to do here, all right? So listen again. It's so prominent. And there are other notes too that are vibrating in sympathy. And because, like most modern keyboards now, they actually sample the sounds from an actual acoustic piano or a grand piano, then it basically replicates the sound just like it would on an actual piano. And so because of this harmonic series, it is said that we don't need the fifth. The fifth is always dispensable in voicing, so you usually don't play the fifth unless you want to do so for, emphasis, whatever your reason is, or that's part of the arrangement, etc. And it's a rootless voicing, which means that you don't play the root note of the chord. So what that leaves us with then is in playing C major seventh, we would simply have these two notes, which is the third and the seventh. The third is at the bottom, so this would be referred to as category A. If B, the seventh interval, is at the bottom and E is on top of B like this, then this would be referred to as category B. Okay, we can play it here, category B, category A, or we could play it here. So if I were to do two major seventh progressions, let's say C major seventh to F major seventh, I'm going to play it with the root note and the dominant so you can hear what's happening in root position first, just for you to get a point of reference. All right. Now I'm going to take out the fifth. I'm I'm going to leave the root still, and then the next time I'm playing, I'm going to take out the root. Okay, listen to it now without the fifth in there, and tell me if it still doesn't sound complete, even though the fifth note isn't there. The other way, instead of playing it with the E so close to the C, I'm going to open the chord and play it here. Okay, so check this out. Now I'm taking out the, the root note, just so you can hear it without that. So you have to imagine hearing that root note sound in your mind, okay? Or pretend as if there's a bass player playing the the do. Okay, so just pretend as if you're hearing that, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Category A, both category A's. Now I'm going to change to category B. So remember, you're hearing that root note in your mind, so you know what's going on, okay? All right. So what they say now is that once you learn that basic concept, you want to connect the voicings from one chord to the next chord. And so what you do is you try not to be jumping, from, that's like in root position, you're jumping from here and then you're going here. You don't want to be doing that now. So what you do is, because you would have understood and known your inversions, you find the next smoothest, closest point of resolution or change, okay? All right, so this is what would happen. So I'm going to play the root note first so you can have a point of reference, and then I'll play it without the root note. So category, let's start with category A first in the left hand. Let me play it up here so you can see what's going on. So this is going to be C. This is category A, which is the third, and then the fifth, the seventh. What am I talking about? The major seventh on top. It's 5 notes away, that's why I said fifth. I was thinking fifth of E, but you know what I mean. Okay, so check this. And then I went now to category B, okay, of the next chord, which is F major seventh. Okay, so here the only change that I changed was this note, which is the major seventh in the key of C, and then 7 went to the third, yes, of the other chord. So what you're going to find then is that 7 goes to 3, or 3 becomes 7. Okay? All right, so this is 3, key of C, and that's the 7. When I change to the key of F, this which was the third remains and becomes now the 7th of F. And this which was the 7th becomes the 3rd. To category B, which is going to be the 7th, major 7th, and then the major 3rd, will be on top of the major 7th note, okay? And then when I change to F major 7th, what's going to happen is this, which is a major 7th of C, is going to go down to the major 3rd of F, and the major 3rd of C stays and become the major 7th of F. Okay, so listen. So when we play as pianists, this is one of the things that we employ a lot of, okay? So let's say I'm going to play a melody. I'm just going to find a melody. Okay, so you get the idea. That's just 2 Node Voicings, okay? If we play 3 Node Voicings, then what happens with the 3 Node Voicings is now we can add extensions. Those extensions can be 9ths or 6ths or whatever you can come up with. And then the voicing of category C is simply anything that is built other than on the 3rd of the key that you're in or the 7th of the key that you're in. So if I did this, let's say I'm going to use a minor 7th. So I twanged, as the Americans would say, we call it a crush note, right? But I twanged. So I'm sure you can pretty much figure, like if you're really into voicings and you hear this, you know exactly what key, you know, it eventually is in, because you can hear that this is the minor and you can hear that that's the 7th, okay? Because this has resolved to here, yeah? So let's play it with the root note, okay? I'm doing this with my left hand. Okay. All right. That's just the left hand, which supports the right hand. Okay. All right. So check this. I'm going to do Autumn Leaves using the voicings, 2 Node Voicings without the root, so you can hear what's happening, okay? Just to demonstrate it further. So it starts on, of course, A minor, as you know, rounds of 5, you know, do, dee, do, dee, do, dee, do. So do, dee, do, dee, do, dee, do. Okay? Doing it slowly. So you notice the connection, so I'm going here, which is G and C, and then, so if I play the bass, this is what it would sound like. And this is just my left hand, no right hand playing. Change So you'd have heard examples of voicings again. I was purposefully not playing any root note, just going through the chords. And this is something that, of course, once you understand the basic concept, then you just begin to expand on your own and add as time goes by. So if I'm playing, for example, let's say I was in the key of F minor a while ago, so it would be B flat minor 7th. So I'd probably do something like this. When I'm playing in the moment, it's easier to just play, but I'm just trying to see if I can break down. Okay, so now I've added more stuff. Okay. Yeah. And because you know the basic concept, then you can, this is even the 5th, even though usually you would leave it out. Yeah. But I'm also thinking of the voicing that I'm hearing in my head. So I might be hearing this. Da, 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 dee, dee, da, da, dee, dee, da, 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 ya, da, 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 ya, da, da, dee, da, 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 da. Okay, so I hope you were able to gain something from that, yeah? So let's see if I can recap. This is now with the 9th. So that's, of course, just the left hand alone. I'm going to play now the same voicing in the right hand. So it's E, okay, which is the 3rd. That's B, the 7th. And now this is D, the 9th. So this is now a 3-note voicing, okay, instead of the 2-note voicing that I started, showing you. So here. cheating here a little bit, okay? Because remember that voicings are just a guideline, okay? But when you play, you have to hear that sound in your head and wherever the melody is leading you to in your comping, you know, how you accompany the person, or even if you're self-comping, you have to hear that melody. So let's see. See if I can find a song. All right, have fun. Do practice and do your own personal, analysis and investigation. And trust me, I'm able to do it, and I know you can too. Peace, love, and many blessings. And this is another in the series from Ozou'ne, Sundalyah, Voicings, 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 voicings.